candles in the memory of the 26 innocents who were killed in cold blood for being non-Muslims in Pahalgam on Indian soil. They said, and I'm talking about the people of Kashmir. They said that the perpetrators should be brought to justice. Even Mehbooba Mufti, you can see her on the right, viewers, in the green outfit, and Farooq Abdullah's party mates were out on the streets. These were rare scenes of solidarity, and they were lusty calls for justice. You can see those banners and placards that these people are holding, and they say, "We want justice, we want justice." And so the Indian state kicked in. It began the process of giving justice. The homes of terrorists linked to the jihad were knocked down to disincentivize support for Pakistan's proxy war on India. I'm going to show you pictures of those homes now, viewers. And you must see them, because they are palaces. Only in Pakistan, viewers, and in Gaza are terrorist homes located in residential areas where the citizenry knows that the home has been made from money earned by betraying the country, but say nothing. Nonetheless, viewers, these homes were demolished, and thank goodness, no one protested. Moreover, Pakistani nationals living in India were asked to return to their lands. This was done to ensure that if Pakistan thinks it can terrorize Indian civilians, then it must be prepared to see sanctions against its own citizens. Let these citizens go back and ask their government, why have we been thrown out of India? Let there be a degree of disaffection in Pakistan, and let those Pakistani officials explain to these people why they were removed. Aside from Pakistani-backed valley-based local terrorists, their proxies, or as they are called OGWs, overground workers, were also on the radar of the security forces. The overground workers aligned with Pak-backed terror groups were detained when there was enough proof to show how the Pahalgam cowards got help from these enemies within. And viewers, first several hundreds were detained, and then after questioning, after the probe kicked in, etc., etc., around 20 overground workers were identified. Many OGWs were then arrested. 4 underground workers, then it became known, helped Pakistan terrorists with doing reconnaissance of the terror site. Evidence of the use of 3 satellite phones were also found in the valley. 2 out of 3 satellite phones were traced by investigation agencies. These were clearly provided to these terrorists by these OGWs. They were given gas cylinders, food, bedding, so that they could be holed up in the mountains and then come down and do what they did. Of the 2,500 suspects, over 175 are being interrogated even as we speak. But instead of welcoming these steps, especially as they constitute the most basic step in delivering justice to the victims of Pahalgam, a raft of politicians, and let's go back to those visuals right at top, viewers. The same politicians who were holding these placards in Jammu and Kashmir have begun to call upon the center, upon the state government to stop the deportations, the demolitions and the detentions in the name of insaniyat or humanity, viewers. Can you believe it? First listen. And I'll tell you what they said. Farooq Abdullah says Pakistanis who have settled in India for decades are being deported. They are being sent to a nation where no one is respected. They are innocent. The real culprits are in Pakistan. Viewers, if no one is respected in Pakistan, why does Farooq Abdullah want talks and constantly ask for talks with Pakistan? If it is such a God-forsaken place, that they can't even take back their own citizens because they won't be safe there. Viewers, why do we have to be friends? Why do all these politicians then say that, look, we must interlocute, we must have dialogue? With whom? Monsters? Mehbooba Mufti, you know what she says, viewers? Directive to deport Pakistani nationals has raised humanitarian concerns. Many affected are women who came to India 30 to 40 years ago, married Indians and raised families, urge government to adopt a compassionate approach. This is not only inhumane but inflicts emotional and physical distress on families who now know no other home. Now viewers, these are people who looked down upon Indian citizenship. If you're living in this country for 40 years, you're married to somebody who's an Indian, why don't you want to take on either a PIO or become an Indian citizen? But you know, hang on to your Pakistani citizenship because it is so much more superior, isn't it? So go back. And when the government does so, it removes you. People have a problem. I want to ask you, viewers, has any Pakistani, and show me a video, you can send it. I'm right here. Send it to us on CNN News 18. Of any Pakistani citizen out on the street sympathizing for the Pahalgam victims. Instead, viewers, what you're going to find are videos of terrorists on cars with loudspeakers blaring, "Death to India, death to Hindus." The only people who protested in Pakistan, viewers, are Pakistani Hindus, who people like the Abdullahs and the Muftis and all these politicians, when they came to the valley, treated like second-class citizens. They didn't give them papers, they didn't give them domicile rights. Because of Article 370, there was no humanity, there was no insaniyat. 70 years some people have languished, and I'll tell you about that. This sympathy surge is absurd and duplicitous. Let me explain by narrating this tale to you. The tale of Halima Begum versus Deepo Devi, which is so revealing at so many levels. On the left of your screens is Halima Begum. On the right, viewers, in the face mask, in the pastel sari, is Deepo Devi. She lived in Jammu and Kashmir for 60 years, but was denied her dignity and domicile rights that she prayed for every day. She said, please give me my dignity, give me my domicile rights. No one bothered to give her her domicile rights or to treat her like an equal in Jammu and Kashmir till Article 370 was scrapped. Once it was scrapped, she became a Jammu and Kashmir domicile and received the benefits due to her for her service. She served as a cleaner, as a Valmiki, viewers, and there on the right, she's been given her certificate, a domicile certificate, after 370 was scrapped. For 60 years she served, viewers. Did they bother about her rights? On the other hand, copious tears are being shed for a deported Pakistan national, Halima Begum. Halima Begum scorned Indian citizenship. For the 4 decades she lived in total comfort in Jammu and Kashmir. She enjoyed all the state benefits, was treated with respect, that Deepo Devi was denied. Why? Where did insaniyat go when Deepo Devi was begging for equal status for 6 decades? Are the lives of those who hail from the rest of India not as valuable? What is humane about exalting one class of Indian over another? Why should Pakistanis and Pakistan proxies be prioritized over the welfare of other Indians? Why? Why should we be showing insaniyat for those that live on our land, build massive homes with Pakistan ISI money and kill Indian citizens? Why, viewers? This joke must end. It should have ended a long time back, let me tell you. And I don't even know why the government is not conducting an NRC even as we speak. Because there are hundreds and thousands. Do you know, viewers, there is a young man who's a Pakistani national. He managed to get a voter ID, Aadhaar. He voted in the elections. And he was a Pakistani citizen with a Pakistani passport, studying in our country, having a gala time. Did he come out and protest when the Pahalgam victims were butchered? Because fundamental questions need to be asked tonight, and I'm going to ask them. I'm going to ask them straight off the bat. Tausif Shah, leader of the PDP, is with us. Tausif Shah, why does Mehbooba Mufti have such sympathies for those whose homes are being knocked down?
Yeah, very good evening to you and to all of my fellow panelists. I'd like to reply, but before replying, there is one request from my side. Just please bear with me for 3 to 4 minutes. Give me my full time to speak. Then whatever questions you have to ask, or you don't accept it, it's right. But please let me speak. Now we'll speak. As you started the show, you spoke that when we had Article 370 regarding one Miss Halima Begum or Mrs. Halima Begum. Now she belongs to the Pakistan administered Kashmir, and we are claiming that Pakistan POK is part of Indian territory. So how can you deport her? If on the one side you are saying that POK is my part, it's my that has been illegally taken away with the Pakistan. On the second time, you are deporting her, labeling her as she is a Pakistani. We have failed to get our POK back from Pakistan. It's not their fault, it's our fault. Now, second thing is there, regarding Article 35A and Article 370, whenever a person from Jammu and Kashmir, a male member, marries somebody outside the territory of Jammu and Kashmir, she automatically becomes our state subject. This used to be when we had 370. Now, since 370 has changed, so that obviously it's already repealed. Now that law doesn't stand over there. So for last 30 or 35 years or 40 years, she has traveled here in 1982. Now, this was my rebuttal for what you said regarding Halima Begum. Now for Deepu Devi, she came from Amritsar. She didn't marry a state subject here. She came here and she settled down. Now, let me tell you one fact from history that in 1962, Madam Indira Gandhi wanted to purchase a piece of land in Jammu and Kashmir, and she was denied by the then Prime Minister, Mr. Bakshi Ghulam Ahmad, who belonged to the Congress party, who was the Prime Minister from Congress party of Jammu and Kashmir. She was denied.
Right.
She was not given the land. This is a history. So it can be Googled, it can be seen if it's true.
What is the point?
Now, the point is, now my third point, that why are we, now you also raised the point regarding the demolitions. We know that there is a way, we live in a very modern world, we live in a technologically grown world. We have demolitions that are known as controlled demolitions. We can demolish. If you have a law, we have a law, we accept it. We have a law to demolish, but we need to have a controlled demolition. What has done the neighbor? Now there are 3 houses side by side. You have to demolish one house. Why are you not doing a controlled demolition? You have to demolish it. But not of the neighbors. They have no fault to go on.
Excuse me,
they have
sir.
nothing to do with him.
I am not, listen, I'm not an engineer and we are not talking engineering here. We are talking
we are
politics.
not talking
Excuse me one second. We are talking, your boss was talking politically. Hang on. You might be sitting here and making, one second. I have answers to you on all 3 points. So please accept them. I want to open this up also. I don't want to dominate.
Please.
She says, urges government to be compassionate, viewers. Compassionate? Compassionate for whom? For people who have come here and not bothered to take Indian citizenship. This is the same lot, viewers, that wanted compassion to be shown for Indians who denounce their citizenship and go abroad. And they're saying IOJK, POK, all this. I'll tell you, viewers, what has happened in POK. Punjabi Muslims have been packed in there, just like Han Chinese have been sent to Uyghur Peninsula in China. There has been demographic displacement there. A large number of those Kashmiris there are treated like, I don't even want to say the word. And these people, what stopped them from taking on Indian citizenship? They wanted to retain their separateness, viewers. That's why they didn't take their citizenship. It's on offer. You're married to an Indian for so many years. Are you ashamed of an Indian passport? And you're living in a colony. You're living in a colony where you know that the house has been constructed, excuse me, a house has been constructed with terror finances. And you don't have it within you to come out and say, we don't want to be living next to mass murderers. They do that in Pakistan. Hafiz Saeed lives in a huge colony, viewers. Dawood Ibrahim lives in a colony. They're treated as, you know what, viewers? I'll tell you who they're treated like. Freedom fighters. How many of these people, I'm also from Kashmir, I lost my house, my grandmother married out of state. Yusuf Shah. I know the laws. I know how discriminatory they were, why they were brought in place to maintain this separate status. And when Kashmiri Hindus left, viewers, or they were killed, how many people held up their beers like they do for those ghastly Burhan Wani and company? All of these people would have gone there and gone and attended the Zanana. Where were these people then coming out saying, this cannot happen on our land, not in my name. This Zanana cannot happen. This person is a terrorist. Today when they are losing their bread and butter, they are coming out with these candles. But when you scratch them, this is the truth, viewers. You know where their sympathy lies. That's the fundamental point. It's their bread and butter that is getting affected. I didn't want to believe this. For 1 week, viewers, I have kept away. But I can't stomach this tonight. Dr. Ranganathan, I don't know if you can. SP Ved is here. I'm going to ask him also. These technical arguments are being given to defend the indefensible. Ridiculous.
Good evening. Good evening, Rahul, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for having this discussion and your primer that compared the rights given to Kashmiri Hindus, of which you are one, and the rights given to illegal Pakistanis in Kashmir. But you know, at one level, I am not surprised by how these Kashmiri politicians are acting. I'm surprised it took as long as a week for the mask to fall off.
Yeah.
One can trust these Kashmiri leaders as much as one can trust Dracula to keep his mouth shut at a blood donation camp. Their first allegiance is to religion, second to Pakistan, third to China, and fourth to dynasty. Fact is that after the Modi government abrogated Article 370, these terror apologists have been itching to foment trouble, even asking China to intervene. They talk of human rights and religious rights, but remember how they called Wani a youth icon, how they condoled the death of terrorists, and leave aside showing concern for minorities in Kashmir. When have you heard them speak out against the brutal trampling of human rights of lakhs of Dalits, Gurkhas, women, Sikhs, refugees, homosexuals in Kashmir because of 370 and 35A for 70 years? But I'll tell you why when they do speak out, when their power and authority are threatened, like when Sheikh Abdullah spoke out and I quote, self-determination is our right, countries that do not support it are our enemies. Or when Farooq Abdullah spoke out and I quote, they want to abolish 370 and we'll remain silent. Inshallah, we will fight. We dare them. Allah would want we gain independence from India. Or when Mehbooba Mufti threatened rivers of blood if 370 was abrogated, mourned the death of terrorist Wani, said flags other than the tricolor will fly, said why would a Muslim majority state want to stay with India, wanted to introduce death by stoning as punishment according to Sharia law. Rahul, the truth is only in India will you find the same people participating in candlelight marches for terrorists as well as the victims of terrorists. Only in Kashmir will you find mourners attending the funeral of terrorists as well as the victims of terrorists. If that doesn't tell you something, nothing else will. Just the other day, these same people wearing black armbands, shuttering their shops, shedding tears, were assembling in their thousands for the funeral of Burhan Wani and Nasrallah and Yahya. So what has changed? They are trying to hide their hate. It took a week, but they don't realize that Indians have finally understood where all this hate comes from. It can't all come from across the border, no. It comes from an ideology that transcends borders. Plans hatched by Pakistan are aided and abetted by their cohorts in India. As I say, it's a snakes and ladders game. Snakes are provided by Pakistan, ladders by India. Rahul, we are looking at the hyena outside our home, but ignoring the elephant in the room. Otherwise, tell me, just 30 seconds. 4 Indian states share borders with Pakistan. But does such a massacre happen in Gujarat, in Rajasthan, in Punjab? It happens in Kashmir because we Indians in India allow it to happen. We felicitate it and then felicitate it. We can hit Pakistan as many times as we want. It won't change anything. Didn't we carry out Balakot? Why did Pahalgam happen? World's worst terror attack was not carried with the help of an army, but by 11 men with box cutters. And there are thousands of them.
Yeah.
The real problem is internal, not external. Only cultural and demographic restoration of Kashmir can help. And it must happen.
You see, viewers, I want you to focus on those visuals of Mehbooba Mufti again. What is she holding? She's holding a placard that says, this is an attack on all of us. There you can see it, read it. This is an attack on all of us. So why speak up for just some of us? Why speak up for just some of us? This is my problem, viewers. And SP Ved Saab is there and I want to ask him. Ved Saab, it's a very simple question. Were houses of Kashmiri Hindus burnt and demolished? Number one. Number two, were temples of Kashmiri Hindus burnt and demolished? Two, did they use controlled detonations to do this? Did they ensure that no neighbor's house would get burnt? When 5 or 6 homes that were built in an enclave were set alight together or bulldozed to the ground by these xenophobes? I want to ask you, Ved Saab, should we have sympathy for these people?
See, I am one who has no sympathy for terrorists and no sympathy to the people who are overgrown workers, who are even more dangerous than the terrorists. And they actually assist terrorists to actually execute attacks like this. So, I think coming to your question, that whether temples were looted, the houses were looted, burnt and razed to the ground, yes. And today
was there humanity,
we see
sir?
How the properties of
Did anyone come out? You've served
Not
there.
at all,
Did
not
anyone
at
come
all.
out, sir, on the streets
Not
with
at all.
candles to say, ye mat kariye?
No one.
So why, sir?
See, Rahul,
why didn't they come
problem,
out, sir? I want to ask you.
I-
why didn't they come out?
See, in the 90s, we have seen how that notorious slogan "Rally Ghalib" and was announced from the
Chalif, yes.
mosque. How the Hindu minority was forced to flee from Kashmir. So this is basically what is basically the ideology which actually
The ideology.
makes everyone silent.
The ideology.
Yes. That
Ahmed Ayaz.
and the Pakistan is making full use of this ideology.
Full use.
Not only in Kashmir. I let me mention here, there are a lot of pockets in India where you have the internal challenge is much more. I totally agree with Dr. Ranganathan. The internal challenge is much more difficult than Pakistan and China. So we have to be very, very careful and ruthless in dealing with the
Ruthless.
yes.
An Amritsari lady, viewers, was not given rights. A Pakistani was because of Article 370 and Article 35. Can you believe it, viewers? Can you believe it? An Indian discriminated, a Pakistani exalted. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, I'll open this up to Ayaz and also Toheen Sinha, BJP national spokesperson. Yes.
My apologies, didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to say this, add to what Ved Saab has said. He's a national hero, especially for me, he's an inspiration. But I have to say this, yes, tens of thousands of Muslims in India have never come out to demand rehabilitation of Kashmiri Hindus. But tens of thousands of Muslims in India did come out to demand that Rohingyas, who were bearing no relation to them, didn't even know where they existed, were demanding their legal status to be restored in India. So they did come out. But the fact is, I say again, did in India ever tens of thousands of Hindus ever march for support of Kashmiri Hindus?
So
Rahul, the brutal fact is, if you are jealous of somebody else's unity, you are divided.
You know what hurts me the most, Ahmed Ayaz? You politicians are talking about humanity, etc., etc. You should be asking locals to give up the OGWs. That would be serving humanity. All these terror sympathizers, all the abettors of terror, you should be saying they cannot live amongst us. हम इनके नाम देंगे, इनकी कोठियों के नंबर देंगे, आप इनको demolish करो, we know who these people are. That's what you should be doing if you're interested about humanity, sir.
Yes, Mr. Rahul, you see, you made many points you raised initially in your remarks, where we don't rule out some of the things which you have pointed out. But to say that I would like to respond one or two points. To say that Kashmiris as locals have been a support base for these people, I think I would like to say that we don't say that there may not be people who are helping, supporting, guiding, and there must not be something behind all this. But the question is, who are those people? Possibly those have not yet been identified. Sir, and then simultaneously, if we say that it was let me couple it. Let me couple it.
मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछ रहा हूँ, डायरेक्ट सवाल, आप मुझे जवाब दीजिए, please.
Let me couple it.
When a particular youth from your valley, I'm asking you, sir, when a particular youth from your valley leaves his house and joins a terror organization you don't know, and his name is coming in the newspapers, you don't know. Do you socially boycott those people or not?
Point is, point is there are people. See, there are people to see all this.
No, hang on.
First question
I know what
is
you're
raised.
doing. I know what you're doing.
As
You're going
to
to
why,
say what is the galti of their parents, of their sisters, of their brothers. They're living off that money.
No, listen to me. No, I'm going to say you much more. No, I'm going to say you much more.
He's being paid by Pakistan. Kids have been used. Kids have been used. Hang on. Kids have been used. Kids have been used to pelt stones for $50, $20, $30. These people didn't know.
No, Rahul, blindly demeaning Kashmiris, I think that's not fair enough. Then I must ask you, who guided people at Kutwa? Who guided people at Akhnur? Who guided people at Pathankot? Delhi attack.
There is a young lady who works in my office. She's a colleague.
Simply to say,
she has been to Pahalgam several times.
Are involved. I don't think that is fair enough.
She refuses to accept that people hopped across the border, knew where exactly they had to go to, and opened up fire and killed people. This could not have happened. She's been there 5 or 6 times to that same spot. She's telling me it's not possible.
We say somebody must have
without local help.
We don't say that somebody
without local help. It's not possible. Are you telling me that all those people?
Somebody must have.
Yes. I just want to buttress the point you
Rahul,
are
can I come in?
Make the point. Read the headline. What is that headline?
Yes, Rahul, 3 months ago, the Honorable Governor in Kashmir.
Rahul, I need to comment. Every time Farooq Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti talk about insaniyat, it's a...
Tuhin, just 1 second. Tuhin, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to buttress Rahul's point. You see, when 3 government employees were sacked by the governor for having terrible terror links, one was actually supporting the, infiltration of terrorists. When they were suspended, you know who protested? Omar Abdullah protested.
There you go. Okay, Tuhin Sinha, how do you make this? What do you make of this argument that these people have rights? That terrorists, their supporters, terrorist families, their supporters who get the money, who live off that money from Pakistan, from LET, from Jaish-e-Mohammed, etc. They are victims actually. They are not collaborators. How do you respond to this?
Rahul, let me not mince words today. Every time the Abdullahs and the Muftis talk about insaniyat, it's a code word for Pakistaniyat. In Kashmir, there's a term, the special affection that they have for Pakistan. It's called Jeeve Pakistan mentality, and somehow the PDP could never grow out of it despite, a temporary association with this. One of the reasons why we decided to end our association completely. Now, the point is, we know about PDP. Mehbooba Mufti had threatened to, like Anand Ranganathan mentioned, you would not find anybody to raise the India flag if you abrogate Article 370. But I think the Abdullahs are more dangerous. Way back in 1953, Nehru knew about the true intentions of Abdullah, and that is why the Kashmir conspiracy case was, in the Kashmir conspiracy case, he was packed off to Kodai Canal for 10 years. But who resurrected Sheikh Abdullah again? It was Nehru before his death in 1963. 1963 accord between Sheikh Abdullah and Nehru. 1975 accord between Sheikh Abdullah and Indira Gandhi. And 1986 accord between Rajiv Gandhi and Farooq Abdullah. These three were lifelines which the Abdullahs have utilized. And mind you, when the 1986 accord was signed, it's a known fact that Farooq Abdullah was two-timing India. On the one hand, he was pretending to be friends with Rajiv Gandhi, but in the last 2 years preceding that, from 1985 to 1987, he was quietly encouraging Pakistani extremists.
Okay.
So, despite that, if we pretend that we don't, and, mind you, these
are charges being made.
Let me please come in for a moment.
Can learn something in the present situation from Owaisi.
Tausif Shah, respond.
Mr. Tuhin, when Mr. Vajpayee said Insaniyat, did he mean Pakistaniyat? It's a simple question to you. We always repeat that Mr. Vajpayee said.
जब आप लोग इंसानियत की बात करते हैं ना, वो छलावा है. It's a deception. It's a perfidy. You have always let India down.
Tausif Shah साहब जब उन्होंने इंसानियत की बात की,
does not exist for Hindus in
he was hoping to appeal to your good sense. Tausif Shah, when he was talking about insaniyat, he was hoping to appeal to your good sense.
We also
hope. Hang on. I want to ask you. How many people, sir, you talk about humanity and insaniyat, the edifice of insaniyat is give someone justice, isn't it? Yes or no? Yes or no? Exactly. How many people, sir, for the mass murder of Kashmiri Hindus have gone to jail?
Yes. Now tell me one thing.
आप मुझे जवाब तो दीजिए.
हाँ वही जवाब ही दे रहा हूँ. When this exodus happened, that time there was a rule of Jammu. It was a governor rule.
आप वापस नहीं आए. कभी आप सत्ता में वापस नहीं आए, sir.
जब
आप सत्ता में वापस कभी तो आए होंगे.
2002
ठीक है. एक मिनट. You see, viewers, look at the way they frame this. They imagine, or they at least try to create this picture that all happened on one day.
These are two facts.
These are not two issues.
These are facts.
These are facts. Now, one minute, viewers. The same Mehbooba Mufti, her sister was picked up by terrorists. The same Mehbooba Mufti, her sister was picked up by terrorists. At that time, she wanted these terrorists eliminated. We don't even know what the facts are. I'm not even going there. Some people say that it was all staged, etc., etc. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan, before I move on. Yes.
We have. No, Rahul, we've seen all this before. This gentleman is whitewashing genocide by calling it an exodus. Just plain ask him a simple question. Was Burhan Wani a terrorist? Yes or no?
Sir, was Godse a terrorist? Please answer me. Was Godse a terrorist?
There we go.
Yes, he was.
Exactly.
Yes, he was.
This is what I.
Tohin Sinha would also say exactly the same.
We are talking about Pahalgam attacks.
I'm asking you.
Speaking about what has happened now.
No. This is not about Pahalgam, sir. This is about a mindset.
What do you want to mean?
This is about a mindset. A mindset that kicks in. A mindset that kicks in when Pakistanis are being discomforted in our country. When Pakistanis are being discomforted. Tohin Sinha, respond.
Yet you won't call him a terrorist.
He wants to malign the people of the
let me once again make this very clear. It's not about one case, it's not about one woman, and again, the information which PDP representative has provided over here might not be correct. She may not belong to POK. That's the information which he's peddling over here. It's the larger point. The Abdullahs and the Muftis have been enablers. They are part of the problem, and to expect them to suddenly disassociate themselves with their Pakistan obsession, I think that is where we have been
it's a mindset issue.
In our judgment.
This is not this is a mindset issue. We will actually be ending up treating the symptoms, not the actual cause. It's the mindset, and that mindset needs to somehow change. Either it is done through methodologies that are unpalatable, are done through methodologies that are adopted by other countries. We don't want to go there. We are hoping that better sense would prevail. Too much time has elapsed now for all these people to constantly pull the wool over our eyes. Yes, for a long time we've had a lot of wool in our heads, and they've grabbed it and they've very cleverly pulled it over our eyes. Enough is enough. If you have sensitivities, you have all sorts of, you get triggered when you see a Pakistani being given a treatment that is deserved, then go to Pakistan. Go. Don't sit here. You sit in our country, you abuse its democracy, you speak up for them. It doesn't work that way. I need to move on, viewers. Now, I want to talk a little bit about something that's happening in Pakistan. The Indian military has earned our respect through its exemplary moral conduct and unparalleled valor. And because it has never acquitted itself dishonorably, it commands our unquestionable loyalty. It is true, Indians would never dream of showing disrespect to the military. And even when there have been infractions, viewers, the military has dealt with them transparently and in a manner that has reaffirmed our faith in our forces. Today as we speak, we Indians have reposed full confidence in the Indian military's professional capacities to deliver us justice for Pahalgam. But this is not quite the case across the border in Pakistan. A broad swath of the citizenry there is not only mocking its armed forces, but also challenging its writ. A meme fest has erupted. Look at that, viewers. A meme fest has erupted in Pakistan, and Pakistani netizens are convinced that Pakistan forces are an illegitimate authority, a blight upon the nation. These are the memes. A legislator even spoke in one of the Pak state assemblies on the contempt the people have for men in uniform. In fact, viewers, here is one. Brave Pakistani soldiers enter Narendra Modi's residence. Sir, India से लड़े तो फिर से हार जाएंगे, इसीलिए सनम जावेद से लड़ लेते हैं. They're making fun of their army chief, Munir. Now listen to a legislator who gets up and says, this is how Pakistani army men perceive themselves. Listen to this.
पिछले दिनों में हमारे गांव से एक बंदा जा रहा था इस्लामाबाद. उसने कहा मुझे एक बंदे ने चर्च इंटरचेंज में हाथ लगाया कि आप, मैं उसके लिए रुक गया. जब मैंने उसको बिठाया, पहले उसने कमीज निकाला, नीचे वर्दी थी, फिर शलवार निकाला, नीचे पतलून थी. उसने हाफिज साहब को गालियां दिखाई कि जी लोग हमें गाड़ी नहीं रोकते, गाड़ी. मैं कहता हूं आए वर्दी में और इस सदर में फिरें, आए किसी खाने में फिरें, आपको पता लग जाए कि आपने पाकिस्तान में कितना नफरत बोया है.
There you go, viewers. In certain quarters of the country, Pak security forces are openly taunted and even unfavorably compared to the Indian military on their faces. Watch this clip.
दिमाग खराब है आपका. उधर कश्मीर पे जाओ ना, कश्मीर पे जाओ ना, कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते हो. कश्मीर पे जाओ ना, इधर क्या कर रहे हो? आपका जर्नल भी आ जाए फिर भी कुछ नहीं कर सकते हो. अगर वो डॉलर जर्नल भी आ जाए फिर भी वो कुछ नहीं करेगा. जर्नल भी हम आपकी बूट की नोक पे रखते हैं. बकवास करते हो, बंदूक नीचे करो. यहाँ लड़की खड़ी है, ये लड़की मोहरत पुलिस है, याद रखो. ये लड़की आपकी बहादुरी का पता है. यहाँ पर लड़की खड़ी है, लड़की नहीं खड़ी.
This is the Pakistani police, viewers. One set of people in uniform abusing the Pakistani army. Now let's go across to our panelists and let's ask some fundamental questions tonight and try to understand what exactly is going on in Pakistan. And I want to first begin with somebody who we all admire here in this country. He lives in exile. I'm not going to tell you where, but Taha Siddiqui, a renowned Pakistani journalist, is here with us. Taha Siddiqui, I want to understand, why are we seeing this ulcerous meme fest erupt against the Pakistani military? Why are a section of Pakistanis so contemptuous of their military? What is going on?
Thank you for having me. In fact, we've seen that in the last 2 years or 3 years, the military has lost a lot of reputation in Pakistan, and it's mainly because of the ouster of Imran Khan, the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, and following which he was jailed, and there has been a lot of discontent because Imran Khan was a military project, and then it was wounded up and it was wrapped up by the military, and because of that, the people that the military trained itself on social media to attack people like us, to attack anyone who was had an independent point of view in Pakistan, now it has become a kind of a dissident against the military, and that's why we're seeing so much of divide on social media. This is mainly coming from the PTI, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, social media teams who have been actually mocking the military throughout this whole process. Many of them, the leadership has called for restraint, but nevertheless, the followers of the PTI are, using this opportunity to ridicule the military further, which they feel have unfairly ousted and then jailed Imran Khan.
So there is this one problem, which is a loss of legitimacy, you're saying, in the eye of the public, because they actually play an overbearingly political role. They're no longer a professional force. Now, could this contempt or lack of confidence, let's put it like that, in the Pakistani army's capacities become an obstacle in operating to its potential in a conflict, let's say, against India, if that were to happen, God forbid?
I mean, to begin with, this is an issue of reputation right now. We're talking about that the military has lost. And we've seen that before, during General Musharraf's dictatorship, the last years of General Musharraf's dictatorship, we had a similar sort of, fall of reputation, and military personnel couldn't even go out wearing uniforms. And they were advised not to wear uniforms in public because there was a lot of anger against the military. So the military, there's the whole thing about the military. This is kind of seasonal. Every few years, 7-8 years, when the Pakistani public gets fed up by the military's interventions in politics, interventions in businesses, intervention in anything but what it's supposed to do, then the public comes out against that, and we're seeing that this time with the PTI. But the other thing is, which I would like to point out, because you asked about the war itself. I mean, we have to look at the historical sort of perspective of how Pakistan has fought any wars or is fighting any wars. When it comes to the war on terror, when it comes to the insurgency in Balochistan, or when it comes to the past conflicts with India, Pakistan has not had any decisive victory. So in that sense, I mean, I'm not even sure if the military is capable of defending us because of its focus on things that it's not supposed to do, because of its businesses, because of its political interventions, because it's involved in other things. So I'm not sure even how capable the military is otherwise.
Well, we're also going to be joined by Amjad Ayub Mirza, an activist, in just a few moments, because we'll get a sense really of how different sections in Pakistan have a problem with the military, which they view as an occupying force in different pockets. But I want to bring in Mr. Chileni. Mr. Chileni, do these fault lines that we will now talk about shortly in Pakistani civil society also extend into the Pakistan army, making it a force that is brittle, actually?
Well, we all know that China does not have a national army. The Communist Party has an army. And in Pakistan, the army has a nation. And that has been the real problem for Pakistan, right since its creation. Pakistan, in effect, is a one-party state. The only party that has ruled the country since the first coup in 1958 is the army. Top army generals have long guided the country's politics and economy, either directly or from behind the scenes. And elections in Pakistan have failed to weaken the vice-like grip of its army and national politics. In fact, the last election last year was not called an election. By Pakistanis, we're calling it a selection that was neither fair nor free. And also, the most troubling aspect about the Pakistani state is that the Pakistani military, intelligence, and nuclear establishments have never been answerable to any civilian led government. In fact, the head of Pakistan's army has long acted as the country's effective ruler. And to make matters worse, the army is also into the economy in a big way. And then while Pakistan's tax revenues are relatively modest, its defense spending is massive because of the military. So this erosion
Yes.
that we are seeing, the erosion in popular respect for the army, for the military as a whole, is because people in Pakistan are increasingly realizing that at the core of Pakistan's problem is the army. It's the army that is responsible for Pakistan's present plight. And that feeling has sunk in with the respect quickly evaporating.
That's a very serious problem. Zorawar Daulat Singh, we've seen the ISI chief been handed an additional charge. That's happened overnight. What does this mean operationally, and why are some analysts suggesting that this is really a soft coup against the civilian establishment, the civilian administration rather?
The primacy of the deep state and the military has actually gotten stronger as Pakistan over the past decade has found its basic ability to create a stable entity domestically. So I think the army and the deep state is now on its last phase, exhausting every kind of aspect. It's using Islam, it's using the India bogey, it's latching on to the Kashmir dispute the way it sees it. Afghanistan problem had given it an opportunity to prolong its primacy. So there are several reasons that suggest that it is the noose is sort of tightening at a very long-term strategic trajectory if you take it. But the problem for India is that even this declining army, this army that is under threat, under siege, uses and exaggerates its security problems to lash out at India, because that's the only cohesive force that's left. Islam is not, by the way. They lost the eastern part of the country. So this two-nation theory, what the army chief spoke about a few weeks ago, was already debunked by its own internal incompetence to keep itself together. Now, as we know, there are several multi-ethnic insurgencies and rebellions that are playing out. I think we also need to sort of focus on why the international community, and here is particularly the United States, the British, and the Chinese, have found, for a variety of reasons, unlike during the Cold War, you had regimes that stayed alive for a certain purpose,
Yes.
and then they were discarded and they fell apart. Here, you see an ability to keep this game going, and particularly from our friends in the West who speak about this idea of values and democracy, and they have been single-mindedly responsible for the complete destruction of the civilian authority in Pakistan. We know in the last few years of how the army has completely strangled any form of even though, as we know, democracy in Pakistan was always a hybrid, military first, civilian second. Now it's become a total joke where you have these appointees in place. They are handed out notes on how to respond in press conferences. They are only there for a superficial narrative for the world. But at the end of the day, how do we deal with this Rawalpindi deep state? I think there is no way but to have some kind of an understanding with the major powers who are keeping this state alive.
Okay, so let me bring in Amjad Ayub Mirza Sahab. Why do you, Mirza Sahab, view the Pakistani army as an occupying force? Kai log kehte hain, it's become an occupying force in parts of Pakistan. And how has it become an infliction upon the people? A curse upon the people, some people say.
Well, obviously, Pakistan is an occupying force because they occupied our territory of Jammu and Kashmir in 1947. On the 22nd of October, they ransacked every single part from where they passed, and they captured it. And it was only after 22nd of October 1947 that our king Maharaja Hari Singh signed an instrument of accession with India, with Mountbatten. So we became part of India, and we are an integral part of India because we are part of the body of India. We are not some like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. We are not another country. We are by default, every single child born in POJK and Gilgit-Baltistan is a Indian citizen. So Balochistan again, after 5 months of attack on Jammu, Kashmir, Pakistan armed forces attacked on the 22nd of March 2000 and
Okay, but we're also okay. I think we've lost
March.
him. We've lost him. Okay, we've got him
March.
back.
No, I'm
Yes.
back. I'm back.
You're
I'm
back.
back. I'm
Okay,
back.
okay.
I'm back.
But this is also
So
happening
on
in
the
Sindh.
20
This is also
on the
happening in
20
KPK. This is also happening in Balochistan.
Yeah, I'm going to explain. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to explain, and it will be very clear. The picture will be very clear and vivid for you, all of you. So, the 27th of March, 1948, Pakistan troops occupy Balochistan. So, at least these two regions, which are included in the map of Pakistan, are occupied territory. So, that answers your first question. The second question is that the Pakistan army, since we were not voluntary, we did not join Pakistan voluntarily, we were occupied, they have treated us as a colony. Both Balochistan and POJK Gilgit-Baltistan. They have treated us like a colony. They have exploited our natural resources. When they occupied Jammu Kashmir, this part which is called Azad Kashmir, we had 44% of forest. Land mass was 44% of the total land mass was forest. Today it is below 14%. They use our water. They built a Mangla Dam on the promise that we will be given free electricity. But that never happened. Our all electricity we produce in POJK goes to the national grid in Pakistan and then redistributed back to us, and they charge us. There are many things that I can go on and on, but you get an idea.
I now understand. And obviously there is a pushback from civil society. Taz Siddiqui, I have to ask you this because, you see, in a long stretched out situation where two militaries are faced off against each other, one belongs to a country that is economically quite broke, can't afford long, strung out, tense standoffs with another power. Is it possible that when things become difficult on the ground for civilians, there might actually be an insurgency across the nation against the army? Some sort of pushback, civil unrest?
Well, I would say that, this civil unrest is already unfolding as we speak. We've seen that in the past with Bangladesh. There was a civil war, and then the independence of Bangladesh. Then, in recent times, we've seen that the Baloch insurgency has become quite active and is quite strong and is doing attacks that we have never seen before all across Pakistan. We've seen also that there is a lot of discontent amongst the Pashtun population and the Pashtun Tahaffuz movement, which is being led by Manzoor Pashtun, which has been also, is being trying to control. They're getting this, sort of oppression from the Pakistan military. Also, the leadership of PTM has been jailed, etc. Then we have also in Sindh, we've seen that there is the Sindhu Desh movement, there's the nationalist Sindh movement. So we are seeing, and now, I think the only part that is left in Pakistan, which is sort of was supportive or is somewhat supportive of the military, is Punjab, which is what we say in Pakistan is that the Pakistani military is actually a Punjabi military. But nevertheless, even within Punjab now, as I explained earlier, with the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, which has a lot of constituency in Punjab, given Imran Khan has his own constituency in Lahore, the capital of Punjab, and a lot of urban population in Punjab is supportive of Imran Khan and was supportive of the military and Imran Khan at the same time, because this was the
true of the linkages. Yeah. One second.
Yes.
I think we've
now
got a problem with
there in Punjab.
Yeah. A bit of a dropout with your line, but very quickly, 30 seconds, Zorawar Daulat Singh, I just want to ask you, do you think there's a possibility of the Pakistani army actually looking over their shoulders constantly?
Of course, there's no doubt that they would like to project that they're all prepared for this major sort of strategic competition with India, which kind of gives them like a steroid boost. But at the end of the day, the domestic contradictions of this artificial created state, problems on its western frontiers are continuing to ride. I think the question for India is, how do you respond at a way where you need to impose costs at a sustained level, and at the same time don't play into the Pakistan army and give them a little bit of a low-level tactical tit-for-tat option to just get themselves mobilized again and galvanize whatever little they can. So I think, and the Indian government is playing a sophisticated game. I think let's wait and see if that comprehensive strategy is going to be unfolded.
The weakness of strong states, viewers, on the face of it lies within actually. And that's the problem. It is quite weak, brittle, fragile. If we apply pressure, sustained pressure for a while, we could break Pakistan. That could happen. I'll leave it to this.
Presented by
चाहे कश्मीर पर पड़ी आतंकवाद की छाया हो, हर चीज का मजबूती के साथ हमने जवाब दिया है। और अगर कोई एक कायराना हमला कर ये समझता है कि हमारी बड़ी जीत है, तो एक बात मन से समझ लीजिए, ये नरेंद्र मोदी सरकार है, किसी को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा, किसी को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। इस देश की इंच इंच भूमि पर से आतंकवाद को मूल समेत उखाड़ने का हमारा संकल्प है और वो सिद्ध होकर रहेगा। और इस लड़ाई में न केवल 140 करोड़ भारतीय, पूरी दुनिया भारत के साथ खड़ी है। लामबंद होकर सभी दुनिया के देश एक मुश्त होकर आतंकवाद के खिलाफ ये लड़ाई में भारत की जनता के साथ खड़े हैं। और मैं फिर से संकल्प दोहराना चाहता हूं, जब तक आतंकवाद समाप्त नहीं होगा, हमारी लड़ाई चालू रहेगी। और जिन लोगों ने एक कृत्य किया है, उसका उचित दंड उनको निश्चित रूप से दिया जाएगा। भाइयों बहनों, आज बोडोफा उपेंद्रनाथ ब्रह्मा की 9 फुट ऊंची प्रतिमा का यहां अनावरण किया गया। बोडोफा न केवल बोडोलैंड के लिए, न केवल बोडो जाति के लिए, समस्त आदिवासी समुदाय के लिए सम्मान, पहचान और समान अधिकारों की लड़ाई के लिए जाने जाते हैं।
Home Minister Amit Shah there reasserting the message that came from the highest political office of the Prime Minister that India will avenge the death of these, the killings of these 26 innocent civilians in Pahalgam on the 22nd of April. Arunima joins us, getting us more perspective. Arunima, we've seen the message. The intent is clear as far as the government of the day is concerned. The chorus, though, is now growing for retribution and for visible action.
Yes, and the government has made it very clear. Prime Minister himself has said this, that we will avenge what has happened at Pahalgam, but it will not be a knee-jerk reaction. The military establishment, the military leadership has been given a clean hand. They have been asked to decide what time, where and how they want to avenge it. So it's now for the Director General of Military Operations and the Chief of Army Staff to sit down with the team and decide what is the best way to avenge Pahalgam. And I think the Home Minister's reiteration is once again a message, because it's now more than a week now almost 10 days since that horrible crime happened, the terror attack happened in Pahalgam. So the message is to the family members that this is not your personal loss. This is a loss being felt by every Indian and the global community as well.
The kind of message that we've seen from the political quarters is clear. But speaking of the investigation, it's been 8 days. Arnima, you are in Kashmir. What's the latest that you can share with us on the NIA's investigation now?
It's a slow process because so far the terrorists are still at large and most of the survivors are unable to provide any concrete lead as to who these terrorists were and from where they have come. So NIA is taking it step by step. Forensic tests have happened. DG NIA went to the crime spot today. He spent close to 3 hours in taking first-hand account of the meadow, also the track that leads to Baisuran, and then he had subsequently held a meeting with top officials as well. So NIA is moving ahead with a very scientific form of investigation, and on the other hand, there's also the coordinate search operation that is going on to ensure that the terrorists who are suspected to be still hiding in South Kashmir, they are brought to justice.
Right, Arunima, do stay on with us. Payal also joining us, getting us the latest on this. Payal, we've seen the kind of message that has come to the fore from the Union Home Minister. The Prime Minister too has been making it clear. In fact, the several meetings that he held over the last 2 days is testament to the fact that the government of the day is looking at what further steps can be taken to isolate Pakistan.
Well, of course, that's the big, statement coming in from the Home Minister. Remember, ever since the attacks took place a week or 10 days ago, the Home Minister hasn't really spoken in the public, but his big message comes to the public.
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. In a hysterical presser at 2 a.m., Pakistan claimed that